And we're live from period 6. We started the new semester today on morality and what it means to be human. That's the title of chapter 1. And then we just walked through the definition of morality, which is right here. So for those of you watching virtually, you can just pause the screen and write down that definition. It's a much more philosophical topic and whatnot. Before we get into what is right or wrong, we have to talk about, before we talk about the nature of the action, we have to talk about who's acting. What does it mean to be human is the title of this chapter. And so before you figure out, how you should act, you got to figure out who you are. What were you made for? Who made you and the like? Which, to jump to the answer, is, well, who am I? I am a human being. What does it mean to be human? To be made in the image and likeness of God. You've been taught since the, first grade. And so we're going to unpack that today. This is the first lesson of morality. It's perhaps the most important one. If you don't understand what makes a human person, it's going to impact how you act. In other words, how you treat yourself and how you treat other people, which is everything life is about. So that, of course, in finding God. So lesson 1 is man made in the image of God. Now, allow me to vent for 2 minutes. There's a lot of really dumb beliefs out there about what it means to be made in the image of God. Let me give you 2 examples. I'm leaving church one day outside of New Orleans. I've got one of my babies in a car seat. We're going to the car. And like a lot of people do after church, oh, look at the baby. He's so cute. And the guy says, oh, look at him. He's still in the image of God. He's so innocent. This guy's definition of image of God was basically, you're in the image of God if you have not sinned. And the minute you sin, you lose the image of God. And this baby has not sinned yet, so they're in the image of God. Yeah, I'm glad you see that as wrong. Yeah. Because we all sin. We all eventually sin. Whatever age that happens. And do we lose our very nature? The answer is no. Here's an even dumber one. Okay, my wife was talking, I believe, to someone 2 weeks ago. This woman refuses to wear a mask during this pandemic. We've all heard of that, people not wearing the mask, whatever. They have their reasons, their opinions. But listen to this woman's reason. She does not wear a mask because it obscures the image of God. Well, I guess she just believes her body and her beautiful face just reflect God's glory, God's beauty so much that she just wouldn't cover that up because that would be an insult to God. She must be very proud of how she looks. To which I would say, not that I would say this to an adult. This woman clearly isn't able to reason very well, but I would say this: what happens if she gets in a car accident and the glass shreds half of her face from the windshield, and the other half of her face goes bright red from a burn mark? She has to get plastic surgery on 2 different levels for 2 different things on the same face. Her face is never going to be the same, even with plastic surgery. Is she no longer in the image of God? We would say no. What is it? What does it mean to be made in the image of God? Is the question. Oh, I kind of jumped the gun though. But I'm going to come back to Romans 12. What does it mean to be made in the image of God is the question on the floor. So I want to see what you say. God makes us how he wants, and we are all beautiful to him. He's given us his son and taught us through him and the prophets. We know how he wants us to live. Oh, I don't think you really answered the question. Thank you for trying. I think it means that God made all of us exactly how he thought we should be. He made us to one day strive our best to be like and follow his footsteps. So he made us to follow him. I'll leave that up on the board because it's mostly right. If you're made in the image of God, the implication is that you can follow God and that you were made for God, If I tell you I did a painting of an angel, that's supposed to reflect, the nature of an angel or the type of angel. A long time ago. Yeah, thanks. I'll tell you the story behind it another day. I might have actually already told it to you. We as humans are created by God. He made us. Okay. He has us perfect in His mind. That's what actually one of the most common answers I've gotten today from the juniors is to be made in the image of God is to be made perfect. But all of us, since Adam and Eve, have been made imperfect, of course, with original sin and concupiscence. So, what happens if you're not perfect? What happens if you're a sinner? What if happens if you are a terrorist? Are you still in the image of God? Those kind of questions are kind of important. To have authority over other things. Okay, so good job, whoever you are, in reading the scripture, because God says He made man in His image and likeness, and He put man over the rest of creation. So the image and likeness of God has something to do with having dominion, authority over the rest of creation, top of the food chain. Look and act like God, pretty good. I think that being made in the image of God means being holy like Him, striving to make the world a better place. Be like God. All right. To be basically like Him is the most common answer I'm getting from period 6. We're created differently, but our differences are not faults. Okay, I don't know where you're going with that. To be made in the image of God, we're talking about what makes us all the same. We are all different, but we're also all the same. So what makes us the same? We're made in the eyes of God. God's got a perfect design for us. Be made in the likeness that God fulfills all promises. And we have everlasting life. Maybe. To be created in the image and likeness of God means that you have a purpose, and God does not make mistakes. All of the insecurities we may say we have offends God because He made you to be unique. Okay, so what you're saying is to be made in the image and likeness of God is to say that you are made special and you're made unique. And you're not wrong, but I want you to have a deeper answer than that. Why are you special? Why are you unique? But even if you're not unique, if there's 7 billion people in the world today, you're special just like everybody else. When we talk about God made mankind in His image and likeness, we're talking about what makes us all the same. So, sometimes when you were taught in first grade, you're in the image of God, you're special. Well, are we the human race special, or is just me, John Paoletti, special? That's a big question. He made us to be like Him. He made us for Him. Qualities like Him, that's a good one. Potential, how God intended us to be. God made us individually in our own way. God made us in His eyes to accomplish His works. All right. So we got to figure out. None of you nailed it. We got to figure out more precisely if we're made in the image and likeness of God. What does that imply? I want to backtrack a little bit to your other bell ringer, Romans 12. If you didn't see it in the Bible, it's actually on the wall above Grace and Ty. St. Paul says, "Be transformed by the renewal of your minds." And I always give that passage and I highlight it, and I want you to process that because um, what age does the human person believe in their mind that they know right from wrong? They can grasp right or wrong at the age of 7. What age does the human person psychologically commit to I know what is right or wrong? 12 or 13. There you go, Eric. Psychologically, something clicks. At the age of 7, you're like, oh, I can see why that's right and why that's wrong. But by 12, you're like, yeah, I got it. I figured it out. Okay? Um, so this is why, at the age of 13, people think they get a little more snooty, entering in your teen years. And maybe you've been humbled enough in the past 3 years, 4 years, where you say, yeah, I do not know everything. Maybe, maybe not. My point here is that we don't. Nobody has a firm grasp on everything. Okay, so I want you to approach morality as I teach you very challenging stuff. Just to be open to new ideas, open to listening to ideas you may not even agree with. Okay, and I've had to talk to y'all's class for a little bit about this at the beginning of the year. To respect another opinion, to actually listen to it, and to identify all the true points, and then be able to say, I respectfully disagree with this, that, or the other thing. And in just listening to somebody you don't agree with, you're being, of course, respectful, but you're actually going to grow in your knowledge because every religion has some truth to it. There's always some truth to be learned. So just to be open to what there is to be taught this year. If you're not open to, I'm willing to change my opinion on blank, it's not going to be very fruitful. Um, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but you're definitely aware that our country is very divided right now. And some people, this is all in the documentary Social Dilemma, some people point to the fact that on social media, which is how actually a lot of people get their daily news, on social media, if you begin to like and follow things that are what are called on the left or the more liberal side of the aisle, if you follow those things, what happens to your social media feed, whether it be Instagram or Twitter, comes all that and all the highest trending things and the most tracked things most clicked on. You're going to get more and more things to the left. As soon as you like something on the right, you're going to get not only advertisements and news features all popping up, and they're all going to be feeding you. Oftentimes, this side will feed you X facts, and this side is going to feed you X or Y facts. We'll say Y facts and X facts, and they're just going to be highlighting different things, and you're never. And what happens is we're getting farther and farther divided as a country. Some people, I'm not a scientist. I can't say if this is right or wrong. Some people say it's because of social media, because social media is pushing everybody to extremes, because you only get one side of the issue. And y'all have been good so far, your junior class as a whole, when we talked about the very sensitive issue of same-sex marriage. Y'all were very open, good class discussions. Um, but just to, I want you to step outside of this mess that we're looking at as a country and just say, you know what, I'm willing to stop and listen to somebody I don't agree with. I'm willing to listen to them and respect them and be open to new ideas. Now, when St. Paul says in Romans 12, be transformed by the renewal of your minds, he's talking about conform your life to Christ. And ask yourself if you really think right or wrong through the eyes of Jesus. I give this funny example. This happened just last week. I forget what class. But every year I get one student that says this. One student raises their hand and says, Mr. Peo, is this okay, or is this wrong, or is this a sin? And there's always one student that says, listen, don't listen to Mr. Peo, listen to me. I say it's okay, and even if it's wrong, God will forgive you. Which I always laugh at, because what the person is saying is, listen, if it is wrong, that's wrong, or God's wrong, and you just do it because I say you should, or I think it's okay. And we're not really open to, what if I gave you an actual Bible verse where Jesus would say, this is always wrong? Are you open to transforming your mind? Are you open to new ideas wherever you fall on whatever spectrum? So that's the challenge I give you as we start morality. The best way to transform how you see your neighbor, how you treat somebody on the other side of the aisle, how you fill in the blank, is to understand what it means to be human. So, let's go back there. Image and likeness of God. The question on the floor is, what does it mean to be made in God's image and likeness? The Bible says that we're over the fish and the birds and the cattle and all the wild animals. Why are we over them? For the following three reasons. Number one is because we have this ability to reason. We have this innate ability to know and to search for absolute truth. And I draw your attention to the last two lines of this quote by St. John Paul II. He says that no darkness of error or of sin can totally take away from man the light of God, the Creator. In the depths of his heart, there always remains a yearning for absolute truth and a thirst to obtain full knowledge of it. We're always yearning for truth. We want to know, why are we here? Who made us? Why was I made? What is my purpose in life? How should I act? These questions keep us up late at night when we're tired, but our soul is yearning for answers. Why can I not find? Why does nobody love me? You said shallow? Shower thoughts. You think that you have these thoughts in the shower? Why do you think the shower? You free body self. Yeah. Shower thoughts. Yeah, we're gonna have a very censored YouTube channel. Brian Fontenot's shower thoughts. You know. Yeah, just don't get your phone wet. Yeah. So okay, whether it's in the shower, in bed, maybe it's driving past the church, maybe it's sitting in church during the silent parts. See, here's the thing, though. You notice whether it's at your bed at night, usually it's quiet and dark. In the shower, you have the calming, both physically and audibly, the fall of the water relaxes you. So what happens there is you're relaxed, you're detached, you have no distractions. And so your conscience brings up questions. And that's when your soul can get in tune with what it is. I'm not saying it's wrong to listen to music in the shower or to play music, but here's the thing. A lot of y'all live a life where you never have quiet. And if you get quiet at school, you take a nap. Or you jump on a homework, depending on what kind of student you are. But you get in the car and you turn up your favorite song. You're always moving. You always got entertainment. As soon as you've done this, you've done that. And we never stop to listen to our soul. We never get in touch with those questions. And that's what drives a lot of people mentally wild, is that we never sit in silence. And I'm going to have you sit in silence probably next class. We're going to go to the chapel. We're going to spend like the whole class in the chapel. You're going to get 5 points off if you fall asleep. That's the challenge. I'm going to have you sit like Buddha. And you're going to meditate. Yes. It's in your class participation grade. The 25 out of 25 you get every chapter. Anyways, we might do a little bit of meditation next class, but we got to get through this lesson first. We crave truth. We crave it. We crave answers. I'm going to pause this production to bring you the following commercial by Apple.
It's an extremely simple tool, but also extremely powerful. It can be used to start a poem or finish a symphony. It has transformed the way we work, learn, create, share. It's used to illustrate things, solve things, and think of new things. It's used by scientists and artists, scholars and students. It's been to classrooms, boardrooms, expeditions, even space. And we can't wait to see where you'll take it next. Introducing the thinner, lighter, more powerful iPad Air.
I don't think this commercial is about 10 years old. So, yeah, I don't know if the Apple Pen was around. I don't think it was. Just a thought in somebody's head. Get the smartest pen ever. You thought it was about the pencil. And then they tricked you. They said, yeah, what you used to be able to do with a little bit of wood and a little bit of lead, now you have to pay us $1,000 for. You know, I'll go for the pencil. Thank you very much. Well, that's true. But then you have all these other companies that have the same product that's maybe not as good. It's not a true monopoly. You just got to salute Steve Jobs. It's not about the pencil. And I'm here to tell you it's not about the iPad. It's about outer space. Go on. Okay, it's a little bit about space. It's a little bit about... It's about...
It's an extremely simple tool, but also extremely powerful.
You know, we'll say this is a college library. It's about the hard studying lanes that y'all are going to do in college. It's about you musicians who want to write a really powerful, beautiful song, whether it be for one person you love or for the world, the next big hit. It's for that big corporate business you want. It's for that physical therapy, or it's like other places like a medical lab. It's for curing cancer. It's for it's about the jungle. It's exploring like the jungle and the classroom and all the love that you have for school. Right there. This is the outer space one. This is for JP. This is the yeah. You get the point. What did I do? Oh, yeah. It's about the human person. It's not about the. Obviously, there's many differences between an iPad and a pencil, but either one will get you to explore and do your job hopefully well. Find something you're passionate about and go do it. It's not about the pencil. It's about what we human beings can do with a stick of wood and lead, and what we're capable of. And we, with this pencil, we can launch a rocket into outer space and maybe even get in it ourselves. Just completely outlandish. What the human person is capable of. Why? Because we're made in the image and likeness of God, which means, number one, that we can think, we can reason, we can achieve, we can do all these very powerful things. You know, and I'll do it with a pencil. Even though I have an iPad, I don't use it for a whole lot. Number two is, and to be honest, I'm going to give you three things, but I could probably give you 10. To be made in the image and likeness of God is to be able to freely choose. You have a free will. You can choose your destiny. You can choose which God you want to worship. You can choose which saints you pray to. You can choose, for most of you, what college you go to. You can choose your profession. Not all of you. Some of your parents are going to make you do something, maybe. I don't know. But for the most part, you can choose how well you do it. You eventually, you've got some freedom. Choose to go along with society or go against the grain, swim upstream. All these are your choices every day, to be a good student, a bad student, to keep your head up in this class or not keep your head up in this class, Mr. Kramer. I don't know if he has free will, because I think he's passed out. Number three. Love. You can love. You can see the good. You can respond to the good in other people in the world. You can foster this. You can spread it. You can love. Man is measured by his ability to love, says Leonardo da Vinci. You know that quote. Love is what makes the human person so unique and so special. It's the greatest of the many characteristics we have, is this ability to love. It's what makes us human. Why do you have soccer practice before school some days? Not very often. What time do you wake up in the morning if you got a morning soccer practice? 5. Good Lord, what human being sets their alarm for 5 a.m.? somebody that loves a sport, a team. You know, football players do it over the summer, right? Maybe not 5 o'clock, but what, 6 o'clock? You're out the door over the summer constantly. What, 3-4 days a week? Yeah, because you love. What do you love about duck hunting? All right, all right. Different hunters say different things. Some of them just like the experience doing it with your dad or doing it with your friends or your family. Some people just do that. Some people do it just to have some time in nature because you love the stillness of the water. You love just looking at the trees. You just love the silence to be able to slow down your life. And you might wake up at 3, 4 a.m. To be honest with you, that was one of the reasons why I never got into hunting. There's many reasons, but my dad's a deer hunter. But he never really let me go because he was paying a lot for me to go to school. He's like, I'm not going to let you miss school. He always went for one big trip every year, and I never got to go with him because I always had school. He says, if you want to be homeschooled, you can come with me. So I'll pass on that. But so I never got into it, but I can understand and appreciate it. Here's another commercial brought to you by Apple.
We don't read and write poetry because it's cute. We read and write poetry because we are members of the human race. And the human race is filled with passion. Medicine, law, business, engineering, these noble pursuits are necessary to sustain life. But poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for. To quote from Whitman, "O me, O life of the questions of these recurring, of the endless strains of the faithless, of cities filled with the foolish. What good amid these, O me, O life? Answer, that you are here, that life exists, and identity. That the powerful play goes on, and you contribute a verse. That the powerful play goes on, and you may contribute a verse. What will your verse be?"
$1,000 and find out what you can be with the iPad. What? Who can answer Connor's question? What does the iPad have to do with these mountains and with the marching band and the sumo wrestlers? The idea is you can use the iPad to analyze the correct sumo techniques. You can use it to conduct a band. You can use the iPad to do, here's the punchline, what you love. Because life, this commercial is a step ahead of the last one about the pencil. The pencil is here. You can do a lot of things. Go do them. But this one, if you listen to the words, anybody know the actor who is talking in the background? Not The Rock. Yeah. Not Morgan Freeman. Not Will Ferrell.
Read and write poetry because we are members of the human race. And the
Nobody? Molly Russo +2. Robin Williams. You see him in other movies, Mrs. Doubtfire. He was the voice of the genie in Aladdin. Robin Williams tragically took his own life about 6 or 7 years ago. So y'all were pretty young, I guess, when that happened. But one of the greatest, most influential actors, funniest guys to walk through Hollywood. Well, that's him in Dead Poets Society. Let me check the time. Let me show you the trailer. Because it's a really good movie, and if I show you the trailer, you might just watch it tonight. And it might be more inspiring than than your average movie night. It's a very inspiring movie. I'm gonna warn you, it's a sad ending, but it's a good movie. I still recommend you watch it. I'm gonna play the trailer. You can watch it on Hulu or Prime, Amazon Prime Video. Don't think it's on there. Sorry, you gotta work on the other two, or just I don't know, get on YouTube for probably a lot of money. Here's the trailer.
What are the four pillars?
Tradition, honor, discipline, excellence,
And respect.
Welton Academy for Boys, a breeding ground for the future leaders of America, an institution dedicated to achievement, virtue, and conformity, a school whose rigid standards are upheld by every single teacher, except one.
Come on, Miss Overstreet, you twerp, defend us, and your man on the neighbor.
Language is developed for one endeavor, and that is to communicate. No, to woo women.
Mr. King.
Some people like to rock, some people like to roll, but moving and grooving on Saturday, party.
Touchstone Pictures presents Robin Williams as John Keating, teacher,
Always that stop, Jagger, I say before me.
philosopher,
I like bar reading a 42, but I can't dance to it.
orator,
Oh, Titus, bring your friend hither.
and founder of the Dead Poets Society.
A bunch of guys sitting around reading poetry.
No. Ding.
Thanks for playing anyway. What's the Dead Poets Society? The Dead Poets were dedicated to sucking the marrow out of life. Spirits soared, women swooned, and gods were created. Not a bad way to spend an evening, eh?
I hereby reconvene the Dead Poets Society.
To strive, to seek, to find.
Gotta do more. Gotta be more. Dare to walk a new path. Dare to strike out and find new ground.
I'm hearing rumors, John, about some unorthodox teaching methods in your classroom.
Break out. Do it.
John Keating. He began by teaching English. Now he's changing lives.
I got the part. Tear out the entire introduction.
Was it this new man,
Mr. Keating, don't we just playing around out here? Or do we mean what we say?
Tradition, honor, discipline. Rip and tear.
What is this Dead Poets Society on one page?
This is a battle, a war. And the casualties could be your hearts and souls.
For the first time in my whole life, I know what I want to do.
Medicine, law, business, engineering. These are noble pursuits.
Poetry,
Romance, love. These are what we stay alive for.
That's beautiful.
Sit down, Mr. Anderson. Yes. Sit down. What the hell's going on here?
Seize the day.
Touchstone Pictures presents Robin Williams as John Keating. He was the inspiration that made their lives extraordinary. Dead Poets Society.
So that's the trailer for the movie, and you heard a little bit of that clip, like romance, love. This is what we stay alive for. This is what makes us human, gentlemen. He's talking to all these guys that are in this boarding school, preppy, college prep school, and they're all going to go off and be rich doctors, right, like their dads. And he's like, you can go be a rich doctor. You might be very empty in life. You know, you might not have it all together, actually. And so it's a very inspiring movie in that sense. But that's the context for what I'm teaching you, like today, what it means to be made in the image of God. 2 more slides. It's to be able, really, this lesson is about the nature of the human person in our ability. We are able to experience the transcendentals, which I know you've studied in English class. Anybody want to give me the context? Go ahead, Camille. What you got, Gabrielle? Make your mama proud. Come on. Okay. You use your once again your ability, your inward ability from your soul, to get in tune with nature And when you get in tune largely with nature, is the way y'all were taught it in English, you get these inspirations, right? And this is what all those great poets did, right? They went out to nature, they experienced it, they took it in, they processed it, they found their place in nature and the world, and they wrote these beautiful poems. That's a little bit. I know you actually probably know more about the transcendentalists than I do, as I don't remember being taught about them in my high school. That being said, we are all within ourselves transcendentalists because you, as a human person, made in the image and likeness of God, with the ability to know the truth, with the ability to choose your destiny, and with the ability to love, can experience truth, goodness, and beauty. To be made in the image of God is to be able to experience these realities and to be fulfilled in them. And when you experience beauty, you find yourself, you find a greater happiness. And I'm going to put a question out there, and I challenge you to be open and maybe even a little bit vulnerable. Have any of you been found yourself in nature and been largely moved by where you are, or what you were taking in from nature? Yeah. Well, you nodded yes. Yeah, isn't it? You're off the grid, and then what? Once again, what I've already talked about this class, going back to the shower thoughts. You're off the grid, your cell phone doesn't work, and so you have to be in tune to what's around you. You have to be in the moment, not worried about what so-and-so did last night or who's posting what right now. You just have to be where you are. And even if it's not and you're talking about a hunting trip, you might be in the woods, and the woods might be bare, and it might be winter. It might be not terribly attractive, but just the stillness, the quiet, just the birds chirping. You're like, wow. Eric. And it's just peace, and everything is so still. The most I've had my breath taken away. I've stared off into many a sunset, off the shores into the Pacific of Ecuador, but the most breathtaking I've ever been, in nature was skiing in Austria. And I wasn't a very good skier. I only went maybe 2-3 times in my life. I generally knew how to control myself. I just couldn't stop. Anyways, my friend said you got to go up to the big mountain, like the double, triple Black Diamond Mountain. You got to get up there, man. The view is amazing. I said, okay, I don't know how I'm going to get down, but I'll go up there. I was a college kid. I was always living on the edge. Oof. So I went up, and I was looking down at mountains. Like I was on a mountain that was so high. I was looking down, and they went on forever. And I was overwhelmed. I could hardly breathe at the majesty of the immensity of the mountain range around me. And whether Eric's going to talk to you about the mountain he was skiing on and the stillness and silence, or the hunting trip in the woods, I could stand up here all day and I'm not going to do it justice. But you have to experience this transcendental, which is the beauty of nature. You could probably get that out in the basin. Go take a boat out in the basin. It's just especially the basin, because the water is so still and never moves. Yeah, right, Joseph. Come on, biggest fisherman in the and this is, you have to, in that moment, realize, well, one, should prayerfully connect that to God. Like this is the beauty of God's creation that we don't get very well in tune with nowadays. But this is what you're capable of experiencing. The gators that live out there, they can't take it in like you can. You know, you can take your dog out hunting with you. Dog's gonna be looking for the birds, playing in the water, but the dog's not able to go, like we are, to take this in. And that reflects the last slide I have to teach you, which is that all of this is the power of our soul. Our soul is made in the image and likeness of God, and our soul has a power to know, to choose, to love. What is a soul? Pay close attention to this simple definition. It's the spiritual principle. It's the spiritual movement, you might say, of the human person. To live. Anything that's alive has a soul. That's what makes it living. It has a soul. There's 3 types of souls. Anybody know them? Very good. There's an animal soul. There's a plant soul. I already taught you all this. From who? Nice. Nice. I usually, most of y'all are scandalized when I tell you that plants have souls. It's what makes them grow. It's what makes them alive. When the tree dies, what happened? The soul is no longer there. Why? Could have been a disease maybe, but something stopped this plant from producing oxygen. Something stopped this plant from absorbing nutrients from the soil. Something cut off its life source. Vegetative souls, all plant souls, every blade of grass. Animals, of course, have the ability to move, the animal soul. And then you have the profound, immense, rational soul to take in the truth, the goodness, and beauty. In next class, those of you watching virtually, you may not get a video for a couple days. We're going to go to the chapel. We're going to practice meditation. We're going to get in tune with our souls, sitting like Buddha. And we are going to experience the frissons. Oh, yes, you may.